Unfiltered opinions.
Sometimes you have ideas and you're not quite sure why.
As you secure the bag.
Sometimes you meet people and realize there's probably a reason why you stayed in touch.
Just listen.
Sometimes all the pieces just come together by themselves.
I'm Jimmy Moyaha.
And I'm Simon Brown.
Welcome to Insider Exchange.
Good morning. Welcome back. We've missed you guys so much. We do apologize, of course, for going MIA, but Simon and I had to both travel, and doing the show would have been a logistical impossibility. Nevertheless, we are back. We are nameless this week because, well, I don't know, actually. I suppose we just didn't get asked what our names are. Apparently those aren't important in the times that we live in. Names don't matter anymore. But welcome back. We're going to be taking a look at some market movements in the time that we've been away. We're going to be diving into the big, beautiful bull in our deep dive, and we're going to be adding something quite interesting to our wall that Simon and I didn't even realize you could have as a stock. So stick around for that. Stick around for the show. Shout out to our TikTok community. Good morning, guys. We have missed you. We're back. We'll try not to disappear on you again, but we can't make any promises with the cold weather. Simon doesn't enjoy the cold. Good morning. Good morning, Tlori. Lovely to see you on the chat. If you are joining us for the first time, like, subscribe, follow, do those things, do those nice things. Otherwise, you're the one missing out, really. We do this every week for your viewing pleasure, and we try to make it as entertaining as possible. Before we kick things off, before we get into market matters, let's address some important matters of international security. I'm just going to move my laptop ever so slightly so that everybody can see exactly who the champions of the world are. FIFA Club World Champions. Yes, Simon.
FIFA Club.
World Champions. All the clubs in the world.
Okay.
We'll completely ignore the fact that in our winning celebration, President Trump insisted on being there. Orange Mussolini was never invited, but
I know nothing about. I know nothing about this. I'll take your word. Yeah.
So the FIFA Club World Cup took place. It was almost a preamble to the main World Cup that takes place next year in the US. Now, there have been obviously some speculations around that because with all of the bans that Trump has been imposing on non-American citizens and things, you're like, but does that mean half the world can't play? So apparently the bans don't apply to sporting individuals in some parts, but the FIFA Club World Cup was taking place this over the last month and a bit or so. And all of the clubs from around the world, Mamelodi Sundowns was there, PSG was there, Real Madrid was there. So pretty much all the clubs represented across most of the major sporting or most of the major soccer areas.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a club.
And then how
World
often
Cup.
does this happen?
I think once every 4 years. Yeah, once every 4 years, much like
Okay.
the World Cup. So
this is the whole like Real McCoy
yeah.
is a World Cup.
The Bank of
So
America was
where did we
sponsoring
come?
it. No, it wasn't. It wasn't South Africa.
No, but we have clubs.
Yeah, we only had one club there. We only had Mamelodi Sundowns
Of course.
there. They didn't make it beyond the group stages, but just to be in the Club World Cup was, I think, almost.
Do we have to win Africa or do we win South Africa and get invited in?
So you win South Africa.
Okay,
and then I think they check based on they allocate a certain number of countries per
Okay.
continent or whatever it is. And in the case of Mamelodi Sundowns, they have won. I think they've won the local Premier League for the last 8 seasons in a row. So that was pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah. They own the Premier League. Like, they've got their B team and their C team who don't get to play. Just sit chill on.
Wait until I tell you that now for entering the World Cup and for making it to the group stages as they did, I think the payout at a group level was something close to R1 billion that's going to go back into that club. So any guesses who's
they're
going to
have a D, E, and F team now?
Yeah.
I mean, like Kaiser Chiefs is like their F team.
Yeah.
Yeah. My little team is like their Z team.
So yes, all clubs were represented at this Club World Cup, and Bank of America was a lead sponsor there. The Public Investment Fund in Saudi Arabia was another lead sponsor there. So it's clearly something that has garnered a lot of attention. Look, to be honest, I having been a Chelsea fan as long as I have, I didn't think we would win. But this is very much a reminder of like what happened when we won the Champions League. Because on the way to winning that Champions League that very season, we beat Barcelona in like the quarterfinals with a Fernando Torres goal that no one ever forgets. Because, well, really, I don't think there's anything else to remember him by at our time at Chelsea.
I went to a Chelsea game once.
Really?
In Chelsea.
I got this from Stamford Bridge.
My brother lived in Chelsea.
Yeah.
Brother-in-law. He went to
Before he moved to France.
Correct. This is I think it was 2000 was when I went.
Oh,
and they were smashing cars afterwards. And I'm like, I'm the South African. I must go speak to my brother-in-law's like, no. We just go home.
We go home. Yes. I had the privilege of going to Stamford Bridge a couple of years ago for, I was in London at the time and I happened to be in London. It was a very chance event that allowed me to go see a home game. I think the game was against Crystal Palace, and when I was there, I picked up the shirt at Stamford Bridge. So very special shirt.
That's true. Oh, that's right. Who were we playing? I can't remember. I have no idea who it was. Yeah. I just remember that his parking garage in Chelsea that he had for his SRK 350, which he never drove. He employed some kid to drive him to work every morning because the traffic was horrible. His parking garage was more than like my net worth. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
David loves the show. Lovely to have you on the show, David. Sorry it's on a Tuesday. Simon only got back from KZN yesterday. And apparently we like Tuesdays more than we like Mondays.
Yeah. I like a Tuesday.
Tuesdays feel better.
Because otherwise, like, you hit the Monday, like the week starts, and and like Tuesday's like a gentle easing.
It is. It does feel more relaxed.
I like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tell the Oaks to vote for Tuesdays.
We're voting for Tuesdays. But yes, let's get into some market matters. It's been
markets.
Yes, markets. What we do. It's been quite a busy time since we've last had our sit down. Markets have been quite volatile. There's been up and down conversations around the tariffs that are going to be implemented come the 1st of August. At the same time, OPEC has come out to increase supply. That's given the oil price a bit of a concern around that $70 a barrel level. So a lot's been happening, and we're about to kick off US earnings season.
Yes.
It just gets busier and busier.
Yeah, I mean, look, US earnings seasons, like you just got over it. Like the headache's starting to fade, your eyes are starting to work,
the trauma's starting to go,
and then it's all back again. And it starts big. I mean, we've got all the banks, not all the big. So it kicks off with banks. It used to kick off with some aluminium company. Remember that?
Yeah. What happened to that?
No one cares about them anymore. Anyway, so now it's all the banks are coming, and that's going to be interesting to see, particularly because people like Jamie Dimon can't avoid having stuff to say, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be interesting to see the results and the commentary around it. And of course, this is second quarter to end June, so it's April, May, June. So it is that 3-month window. It was a wild window. The banks with trading activity, probably stellar numbers, right? I mean, collapse at the beginning of April, recovery back to all-time highs.
Fantastic stuff.
They are making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
I'm interested what they're seeing. So like the more boring banks, the Wells Fargo's, Bank of America, who are more sort of traditional types of banks. What are they seeing? Are they seeing any stress? Are they seeing, just all the stuff we look for in our local banks, in terms of non-interest revenue, debts, impairments, all of those sort of numbers.
So do you think we're looking for interest rate cuts? Because last year we hoped for 9. We've lost hope this year. I think the tariff conversation has thrown probably the biggest spanner in the works, according to Fed Chair Jerome Powell, wanting to see how that's going to impact into the markets. These numbers, we're going to start getting things like
forecasts. We've got inflation this afternoon.
Yes, we've got US inflation this afternoon. That'll then give us an idea. But also, with the earnings, we'll start to get forecasts from the companies around how they're seeing performance going into the second half of the year. Do we even think that we might see interest rate cuts?
No.
Or have we just given up?
Yes. I mean, inflation 2.4, expected today 2.7. That's a big number. Now, I mean, it was 9 and change back at its peak, but 2.7 is a big number. It's a big move in the wrong direction. Now, we'll see. We don't know. It's coming out 2:30 our time. We'll know more then. But it is a big move in the wrong direction, and it's exactly what Jerome Powell is worried about. It's exactly what the concern around tariffs is. But another interesting factoid, I was at an Ashburton event earlier in the year, and one of the guys, the US offshore, who's Ashburton's US people? City?
Possibly City.
Anyway, smart chaps, always smart chaps. And he says what you got to understand is that US sort of businesses, not the banks and stuff, but your more traditionals, your Amazons and the like, etc., are sitting on record margins, your Pepsis and everyone. They are sitting on record margins because during the inflation, they pushed margins to manage them. And then they were like,
We can just leave them here.
oh, maybe we could pushy a little more. And so they're sitting on record margins. And he made the point that, that kind of justifies earnings and current valuations, rather. But where does that go to next? Now, what's the story? Do we expect record margins to get more recordy, or do we expect them to contract? The latter, obviously, and that starts to impact valuations. Do we see... And to be clear, the Liberation Day tariffs were gone, but everyone had a 10% tariff, and the US has made $100 billion this year from tariffs. Do we start to see the trickle down in the sense of they're absorbing some of it? If you're sitting at a record margin, you want to keep market share, do you take some of that tariff and say, well, we'll get the supplier to take some if it's an international supplier, we will take some and we can pass some on, or not? So we start to get a sense of what corporate America is going to be doing with tariffs at this point. And to be clear, this is 10% tariffs, not the 50s and 40s and 30s nonsense, which apparently happened while I was on the beach.
Yeah, so that's tariffs for certain countries. South Africa is not looking the best in terms of that. There's a 30% reciprocal tariff that was announced by the US that we're apparently still trying to negotiate. There's a 25% tariff on automotive vehicles. There's 25% on aluminium and steel imports. I think that would be also affect chrome exports out of South Africa. But effectively, there's still the 10% tariff for being BRICS aligned, because apparently the BRICS bloc is considered anti-American in its policies.
So the BRICS one is interesting because the BRICS, so all the others are 1 August kickoff, except when Trump was asked if it was firm, he said absolutely firm, but not 100%. Okay. But the BRICS, it doesn't have a date, it seems. So, and it's weird, like Brazil, because their president did what Trump did, was try to overthrow an election he lost. The difference with Brazil is they threw the oak in jail because that's not cool stuff to do. In America, they put him back in the White House and gave him immunity by the Supreme Court because, well, hey. But... so he's like, yeah, but if you're going to do that, like you can't, he's meddling in internal affairs. And weirdly, they have a trade surplus with Brazil, so it's all very awkward. I expect nothing to happen on the 1st of August.
Around the world?
So there will be a little bit, but he's going to pull it back. So firstly, our 30% tariffs exclude everything of importance, not the motor cars, but like our minerals and stuff, etc. So it's basically going to be some citrus. I actually had an interesting chat with a chap this morning. We actually have a bunch of South African companies operating into, Ultron and Datatech and others who are operating into America, and 30% tariffs just puts them like no more business. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's but I can't, surely he's going to walk them back, although he's going to have to walk them back individually because Liberation Day was like everyone gets a tariff, and then nobody gets a tariff. Here he's going to have to... he's thrown it on Japan and was it Korea, which are his 2 biggest trading partners. Sorry, not the two biggest, but two of the biggest trading partners. This stuff is yeah.
Yeah, you can't make this stuff up, eh? You can't. Oh, I thought this was going to be messy, but my word. And we still have to get into the big, beautiful bill in our deep dive where we try and make sense of what he's doing there. I think the consensus here is quite clear, is that from a policy perspective, it's chaos everywhere that relates to the US. And the taco trade continues to play itself out in that the president does always chicken out. But I had a conversation around the G20 yesterday as well. And the fact that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent isn't in South Africa at the moment with the other central bank governors and all of that is a clear message from the United States around how they're viewing South Africa's G20 presidency. And that then also speaks to whether or not they'll show up in November for the gathering and the handover to the United States. Now, a lot has been said around whether or not we should be pandering, we should be negotiating, we should be having these conversations. And I had quite an interesting conversation yesterday with a B20 Sherpa in Uncle Kaz Kuvadia, formerly of Business Unity South Africa. And I asked the question,
What did you call him? A Sherpa?
yes, that is an official title for the G20. A Sherpa is a representative on behalf of a head of state or a government in the G20 that represents the national interests of the person that's appointed them. So within the B20, as the B20 Sherpa, he officially represents South Africa and is appointed by the president, if I'm not mistaken,
assume so,
to
surely.
do that. Yeah. Sherpa is an
Okay.
official title. Learned
Did
that.
learn something.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, we are learning.
We're learning. This is learning time. So very interesting developments there. But that conversation was around, do we need the United States to continue with G20 conversations? And yes, they're 15% of the global trade. But the important point that was raised was there's still the other 85% of countries around the world that want to get things done, and we can't be held to ransom by what the United States wants. Now, that's something the United States is not going to want to hear
If
ever.
you're going to be the petulant kid and like cry at the whole birthday party, at some point you get locked in the closet.
And you ruin the
Or
birthday
sent
party
home.
for everybody.
Exactly, or you get sent home. I mean, America is the global economy. Make no mistake. It's 25% of GDP, 15% of global trade. But if you don't want to play nice, what must we do? So South Korea and Japan, or Japan and South Korea, respectively, 5th and 6th largest trading partners of America, both just suddenly got these giant trade things. I mean, okay, 25 and both 25%. Like, how do you play nice? I don't know. I mean, the G20 without the US is just a weird idea. I mean, it really is. It's like having a birthday party and not inviting the hot kid. But having done that, I mean, if the hot kid's like, I'm just not coming, and if I do come, I'm going to pour the punch in the pool or whatever the case is, well, then you uninvite them. And then we do get to an interesting new development, sort of G19. Maybe we go and invite somebody as number 20, I don't know. and we kind of like say, well, okay, we need to go without you because, I mean, the invite is there. You're not taking it up. What must we do? Or go home now because you don't want to play? No, we play without you. And this is the risk that Trump takes, is that, trust me, Japan and South Korea are like, yo, okay, so this is an important market for us, but they don't want us. Where can we look? And where are they looking? Europe, Asia, China. And this is going to take time. But in 10 or 20 years' time, if the Trump-esque sort of policies out of the US has continued, we're going to have a fundamentally different trade world. That's not, I mean, and it could end good or bad. I mean, I don't know, but it's going to end bad for America. I mean, we know where it goes for them, but for the rest of us, we'll see.
Si, do you think, and this has just come up now, do you think the United States has overestimated their importance in the global economy, in the global world, because of where they stand now, considering where they stood in the past? There was a time, granted, 15 years ago, or even 20 years ago, happy days, the world couldn't do much without the United States. There's very little globalization, very little internet and kind of collaboration in digital spaces. Since then, we've had things like remote working, a COVID pandemic that's forced us all to unmute ourselves on Zoom and Skype every now and then. But what that's done is it's shown the world that the world is different to what it used to be. And do you think that's now put the United States in a position where they still think they can rule the world as if it's the 70s and it's no longer the 70s?
I think yes. So I don't think they've overestimated their importance. I think the US is the most important economy in the world. I mean, that no doubt about it. What they've overestimated is other countries' willingness to bend the knee. I also think that they frankly haven't. Other countries are in many cases willing to bend the knee within reason. You tell Brazil to stop doing rule of law. I think Brazil's like, no guys, that's a knee we can't bend. You come to South Africa and tell us you've got to cancel BEE. That's again a knee we're not prepared to bend. But if you come to South Africa and say you can't, put an import duty on whatever it is we're buying from the US, there is where we are. So I think they've overestimated their ability to get countries to bend the knee. And there certainly are pain points that America can claim, and particularly with China in terms of trade, but there certainly are pain points, and there certainly are Europe does it to us, for example, with citrus, where they won't take our citrus because of black spot or something. And you speak to Wandile Shalobo, and he's like, no, man, come on. This is completely bogus. This is, in essence, a fake type of trade barrier that's been put in the place. There's a lot of conversations to be had. Trade is not the fair, flowy thing it should be. The problem is it's not so in many cases you can't bend your knee because these are like these, say what you will about BE, it's the law of the land and the ANC and the parliament is not changing it. So pick your battles. The problem is you pick your battle and then you change it 4 minutes later. It's like, oh, we're going to fight here. And then you get there with your pistols at dawn and the oak's over there and he's got cannons. And it's like, it's that. It's the, and more than anything, and it comes back to, international trade and international everything is about norms. And I think we underestimated how much it's about norms and people just behaving themselves. And Trump's come along and said, nope, not doing that.
Well, that's going to put an interesting conversation on the table for the next couple of years, effectively, if we start to see the shift. And I get that the shift might take a bit of time, but if you're sort of rocking the very foundations of international trade this violently, and you start to look at organizations like the World Bank, like the IMF, where historically America has wanted to rule and impose and, almost influence quite heavily what happens at those organizations and institutions, as they do with NATO and other regions. And then you start to say, as you say, you start to see countries say, but we're not going to bend the knee. We do remain sovereign states of our own.
Happy to have conversations.
Yes. Mutual respect starts to become something. And I don't know if that is in the vocabulary of the White House at the present moment.
And for example, the copper story, right? So 50% tariff on copper. America imports about 45-50% of its copper because there isn't enough copper domestically.
Why would you do that?
Well, you do it because you put a 50% tariff on and suddenly it makes copper in the US so much more viable, right? That mine that you've mothballed, will you go and unmothball it? That greenfields that wasn't viable is now viable. Except that when you do it today, like no CEO woke up the next day and thought, let me go and spend 13 years making a new mine because you don't know that it's going to be there by the weekend. Never mind 13 years. There's other ways of doing this rather than the sledgehammer.
Okay, so let's keep with the copper example for a moment, right? So you go, you unmothball the mine that you do, you mine all the copper, the only way you have the offtake is if you have the local manufacturing capacity, because now if you export to another market, your export cost is already higher than the rest of the world.
So you need to use it internal.
You need to use it internally. Fine, great. If you're going to use it internally, you are now then saying to the Apples and everybody else that you must bring production home so that this copper mine that we're now going to unmothball can feed into that ecosystem, right?
Correct.
Yet the big companies aren't doing that, and you're not going after them for that.
Correct.
So you're not forcing them to bring manufacturing home. You're saying we want to make America a home state, but I'm not going to go invest into unmothballing an asset that's going to take me 25 years or something to run for a president that's going to be around for 4.5. That doesn't make sense.
Still more than 1,000 days.
Don't say that.
Are there other ways to do this? Are there not ways to go to the copper industry and say, here's the deal, we'll guarantee you a floor price. We'll guarantee you, I don't know, what do they do in America per pound? We'll guarantee you $6 a pound. End of story, no questions asked. Under certain T's and C's. Much like they did with the CHIPS Act, where they said, if you come and build a chip fab in our country, we will help you pay for it. We will help you. We will give you tax clearances, et cetera, et cetera. Go to the copper industry and say, we need to double production of copper in this country. To which folks would say, look, we can do it, but at this price and at this stuff.
It needs to be viable for everybody.
You say, well, cool. Okay, so you need to unmothball that. It's going to cost you 100 million.
Here's a subsidy.
Here's 100 million.
Because we've happily given subsidies for
any copper that comes
for Tesla.
Out of any copper that comes out of that mine, we won't. There's no tax on it or something.
Other incentives.
Are there ways to? You know what? But that's like a very, very long tweet. Although I see he's doing some long tweets now, as opposed to just 50% on copper. Nice and big fingers. It's the nuance. So are there ways to do it? Yes. Is there an argument to be said it would be better for America if they had 100% of their copper internal? Sure. Is a 50% tax a thingamajig going to do it? Not a chance. The problem is even further, the CHIPS Act, so the Republicans want to roll it back. So you don't even get that level of certainty. And that's the problem, is that every 4 years, so you've basically got between now and the end of Trump's term. And with Trump, who knows? But let's pretend he doesn't wake up and change his mind ever. So you're now going to say, okay, so we've got until end of Trump's term. So you're going to mine like crazy, but you need that incentive. And the tariffs don't work. In this case, in some places they might. Here, it is fundamentally wrong. And I love your bringing in with Tesla. America essentially created an EV market that was a global leader for a long time. It's now China's the global leader, but it's a global leader. And it was Tesla. But there were others in that space too. There's a lot of EVs in America now. And it was done by subsidies. Now, I know that's terribly socialist and stuff, but what the heck? It worked. You want to double your copper market? Subsidies, not tariffs.
You know what? That brought two questions into mind. And we're going to wrap up the conversation. But one of the questions is possibly going to be another conversation around what sorts of incentives and other measures should we be looking at for our own local economy. And I think that should be a deep dive as well, because there's so much that we could then be doing for our own economy, taking pages out of things that have happened around the world. But this is the question I want to leave this conversation on. Do you think, Sai, that Orange Mussolini is a finger typer or an elegant? I know how to.
Come on. If he's typing, and I suspect the man doesn't type. He doesn't have a computer. He's got people who do it for him. But then I do wonder on his phone, how do you finger type on your iPhone?
Well,
Oh, he's got a Max. He's got a really big iPhone, and the man is a finger typer.
Okay, there we go. That's the note. That's where we're going to leave it. That's Market Matters. Stick around. Of course, the deep dive and the investor insights will be out later in the week. But for now, thanks, folks, for tuning in. Thanks to our community for joining us on live chat. Shout out to our TikTok community. We're going to get into the deep dive. That's Market Matters.